Hi, welcome to this tutorial I'm going to make about Autodesk 3ds Max for Falcon BMS. This is going to be a crash test, course on Falcon BMS, just to get you around and know the basics of the software. Okay, first of all, we're going to look at the desktop. And what we found is 4 small windows. This is what appears right after you open the program. These 4 windows are of the same scene, are just different views. And each one of these windows is called a viewport. You can move this around to fit your needs, but you can also maximize one of those windows, the one that is selected, which is the one with the yellow frame. So I'm going to maximize this one. I can do it from here, maximize viewport. I can also use Alt W to either maximize and minimize. Okay, first of all, I'm going to show you how to move around on 3D Studio Max. You're going to be using a lot the center button of your mouse. Right now I'm pressing my center button of my mouse and I'm holding it pressed while I'm moving the mouse. That way I drag the view. If I do the same but pressing also the Alt key, I will also rotate the view. If I roll the mouse wheel, which is the middle button also, if I roll it upwards, I will zoom in. If I roll it backwards, I zoom out. Okay, so these are the 3 basic movements that you need to use for Falcon BMS. Zooming in, zooming out, dragging around the view, and rotating the view. That's all you pretty much need for the view. Now, the most used buttons in 3D Studio Max are these ones here. The select object one, the move object one, the rotate, and the scale. And also these categories and the menus that come with them. Here you will find the create category, the create tag, let's call it, which allows you to create an object. I'm going to create a box to show you. To create a box, I will first left click and drag. Once I finish dragging, I release, and then I still move the mouse, and that will be the height of the box. Okay, once I finish, I left click again, and then I have finished my box. I'm going to deselect the box. I'm going to go to modify. That way I'm no longer going to create a box. If I left the create box here and I click somewhere else in the scene, I will create a different box or anything else. Okay, I'm going to move this away. This is the Gizmo, this thing with 3 arrows. The Gizmo is used to modify everything. If you choose move, then what you do when you drag the Gizmo is you move along the axis that you drag. If you choose one of the planes between the axes, you move the object in those 2 planes, in that dimension. Okay, you can also you have also a rotating gizmo that appears when you select rotate. So this one that allows you to rotate the object. As you see here, it tells you the degrees that you have rotated. Okay, the gizmo is pretty important. Sometimes you might find yourself not finding the gizmo. That could be because you have pressed the X key. For example, if I select move, the gizmo appears here. But if I press the X key, the gizmo disappears. So I need to press the X key again so that it will appear. Okay, this can easily happen accidentally when you have pressed the Alt key, which is very close to the X key, at least in my keyboard. Also, the place where the gizmo is located is going to tell you how the object is going to be rotate. For example, if we want to rotate this model around this edge, what I will need to do is to move my gizmo to this corner, and then I will rotate. How to move the gizmo? I will need to go to the here key here, and then the gizmo is also called the pivot. So what I'm going to do is affect pivot only. Click this button here. That way I will move only my gizmo. So now I'm still moving, but now I'm not moving the object. What I'm moving is the gizmo. So now I can move my gizmo around to place it where I want it. Okay, that's good there. Now we'll deselect affect pivot only, go back to modify, and now I'm going to try to rotate. I'm going to rotate along the Z axis. As you see, it rotates around that corner. If I want to place again the gizmo in the middle of the object, this very quickly, I can go back to hierarchy, affect pivot only, and center to object. And that way it will be in the gravity center of my object. Now let's deselect affect pivot only again, and there it goes. Some of these can be quickly selected using the keyboard. For example, select object, which is very useful when you have other objects and you want to select one or two separate ones. If I want to choose those two, but I don't want to move them, I will need to have select object selected. That way I can select 2, 3, 4, all of them. I can quickly choose this option pressing the Q key. If I press W, I will select move. If I press E, I will select rotate, and if I press R, I will select scale. So it will be key, W, E, and R key. Key, W, E, and R key. I can change the modes I am selecting. just by using those 4 keys. Every time I press the Q key, I change the mode of the selection I'm making. For example, now I'm making a rectangular selection. But if I press again the Q, I will make a circle, and so on. Okay. Now, when I create an object, is a mathematical object. It's not yet a 3D model. I can still choose exactly which length, how many segments it has, and so on. But to work with Falcon BMS, I need these objects to be editable polys, to be exported correctly to the simulator. So, and also to modify them more profoundly. So I'm going to convert to editable poly. I can convert this many ways. I could also click here and choose editable poly. So now these two are editable polys. You can see this here. In the modify tag, you can find what is each thing. This is yet a box, this is yet a box. This object is an editable poly. I can change it to other things if I want to, and editable mess, but I can go back to being editable poly, which is what I need. Okay, I'm going to select everything. A quick way to select everything is using Ctrl A. Now I'm going to click any of them and convert to editable poly. That way everything is an editable poly right now. Okay, each 3D object in 3D Studio Mass has different levels of selection. In each object I'm going to change to wireframe, so you can check this. For example, I'm going to select this one. Each 3D object will have vertex, which are the points that define the corners. We will have edges, which are the lines that join together those vertices, and we will have faces, also known as polygons. Vale. Go back to say that. So if I choose an object and I subselect the vertex, I can only modify that vertex. For example, I could move this vertex around and press W, and then I'm going to move this vertex. See? I can also select only edges, which are, as I said, the lines. I can also move edges around. I'm going to raise this one up. And I can also choose polygons, which are the faces. This one, this one, this one, and so on. And if I choose the element, I will select everything. Vertex, the edges, and so on. Now, this one, the border, is just selects an area around a hole, usually an empty face. I'm going to show you, so I'm going to select the face and I'm going to erase it. I can erase it pressing the suppress button, the erase button. Okay, now it's see it's empty, and now I'm going to make a border selection. I'm going to select here, and it will select every edge around that hole. I will close this hole by using the cap modifier. Now it's back again. So if I want to again select border, I can also use this. They do the same as these buttons. If I try to select the border again, it does not let me. Okay, because there's no hole. If I try to select the edge, there's no problem. Okay, about the faces, about the polygons, I also need to know that I'm going to erase this one again. That each face is looking at or facing, or has this normal looking at someplace. This is the outside side of this face, but you can also see the inside. As you see, it has a different color. When I texture this polygon, only the outside will be seen. The inside will be transparent. So this is very important. If you create a model and it seems not to show because it's transparent or something, you should check your normals if you are well placed. You can flip every polygon using this option here. That way it will be looking the other way. Now it's looking this way. So it's very easy to fix. Now, some other concepts you need to know. Okay, I'm going to, once you are in a sub-selection mode, you need to go back to the normal selection mode, choosing this, to be able to change your object. One concept that is very important is the weld concept. The weld, which is, you can also find it here. Okay, let's select the vertex. I'm going to select this vertex and also this one, pressing Control at the same time I'm selecting again. I'm choosing both of them. Okay. When I say that I want to weld two objects in 3D Studio Max, what I mean is that I want to make one out of two. So I'm going to move this vertex here closer. Now I'm going to move this other vertex here. I'm going to put them very, very close. Now this is still too. Okay, let's press Q. If I select this, you see here that it says that two vertices are selected. You still have two vertices here. But what I want to do is I want to make this one single vertex. So that is what weld does. There are many ways to select weld. You can find it here, weld. I only need to press this here, and sometimes it just welds things, but they need to be very, very close. Let's find out if it works. I'm going to move it. Yes, it's weld. It's very well weld. Now I'm going to show you an example of a not good welded object. Okay, I'll get this in, but not very close. Now I'm going to try to weld them. go back and look for weld. Here it does not weld because they are not close enough, but I still can weld them in different ways. I could click here, that will bring out a menu. If I increase the distance, I could make this be able to weld. Here it says that before there were 8 vertices and afterwards there's only 7. So I'm not going to use this one. I'm going to use a different one, which is target weld. Using target weld, I only need to choose one vertex and click on another one where I want this vertex to be welded. I'm going to use this again. I'm going to make this vertex be welded here. So see that this is still selected, so I can make this vertex go to be welded there. And that's a different way to weld. Okay. Now, other concepts. If I move this size, I will stretch my polygon, but I can also weld edges. I go select that one, choose target weld and weld it here. Let's see if it allows me. No, it does not. Okay. Okay, no, it doesn't work. Okay, let's see. Chamfer. What is chamfer? Chamfer will be like to make a cut. For example, if I cut with a knife this, I can cut to the inside or to the outside. That's the original shape, and I'm chamfering making like edges around that edge. I can also chamfer a vertex. That way I will create 3 vertex out of one or more vertex, depending on the sizes that connect that vertex. But you get the idea. It's like cutting out a corner. And you can also break vertices. And to break this, that will make new vertex out of that one. One for each size. So here I have one. Here I have another one. And there I have one. As you see, I have broken that vertex, and just because it had around 3 faces, it broke into 3 different vertices. That's what vertex does. I can weld them back again, and so on. Sometimes you can find hard to modify an object and you need to break it and then to weld it back again after you have modified. So that's why it's useful to know how to break. So, welding, I don't know if it worked well. So I'm going to increase there from 8 to 6, so that works. And now a little bit about materials and organizing. This is the material editor, which can be bring out also using the M key. On these spheres you can place your textures. For example, I'm going to place a texture here using the bitmap. I'm going to choose from a different this is my library, and I'm going to choose a different folder. I'm going to use my background reference image. Takes a while to load depending on the file. So there it is. This is an M. When it has a bitmap. If you click inside there, you will find different options about it that you will need to modify depending on which kind of material you want. Okay. This button here makes this material to be shown when it's assigned to an object, to be shown in the viewport. So for example, I'm going to assign this material to this object I have already selected. Since I have already selected it, I only need to click on Assign Material. It will map it around on a default way, and you can afterwards remap it the way you want it. I have already made a tutorial about texturing, so I won't touch that again. Let's see, more materials and so on. And I also am going to show you how to make splines, which these are round objects I have already created: boxes, tubes, spheres, planes. Those are, most of them are 3D objects, but the planes, okay? But you can also create splines, which are very useful to create airports. If you choose a line, what you're going to be doing is a draw. You're going to be able to draw a shape. If you drag while you are clicking, you will be able to make curves. I will close it, and I'll go back to modify. So I have this line created. If I change this line for an editable poly, I'm going to change the color. I will have this shape made. Change it to an editable poly also. I'm going to bring out the material window and assign this material to this object. So I can draw. Let's go back to create again, and let's make a new line. So I can, for example, draw my taxiway using the reference specker. Okay, this is just going to be an example, so I'm not going to make, I'm not going to take a lot of time. on this job. Okay, there's some fighting because they are on the same plane. I'm going to move this plane. Move. If I left click, I will get a menu and I can move things around using this menu. I'm going to bring down using the Z axis. I'm going to bring it a little bit down there so it doesn't fight anymore. Sorry. So that is the crash course. I think I cover some of the basics. After you have done your work, you need to remember a few things. First, you need to know that you need to set your unit setup to meters. And also, under unit setup, it's recommended to use centimeters or millimeters as the system unit scale. I personally use millimeters because it's more accurate. Also, another tool that is useful is to know the measure of an object. You can go to this, which is called utilities, and click on measure while you have selected an object. And it will tell you how big this object is, how big the x-axis is, which is 0,2 meters. It's very small, and the y 0,22. And I think that we're good enough with this. Okay, till next video. See you.